Thank you, Colton. Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to bring the meeting to order. With that, I would like to do a roll call of those all in attendance at the meeting, starting out with our new interim board members. Let's see, Amy Garcia.
Attending.
Okay. And let's see, Ashley Weber.
I'm here. Hello.
Hello. And we got Belinda Katz.
Here.
And I thought I heard Jobin Reith.
I'm here.
And Dr. Burkhart.
Here.
And Tasha Fields.
Here.
And Troy Spain.
Here as well.
I'm sorry, did you say here? This one?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Well, good deal. It's all our new members that are in attendance. So I think the staff members on the meeting, would you do a brief hello, introduce yourselves? I don't have my list in front of me, so there should be Jill, I think.
Yes, I'm Jill Simons. I'm the executive assistant.
And Janelle.
Yes, hi, I'm Janelle Martin. I'm the Nursing Education Compliance Officer.
And I think Linda's on.
Yes, I'm Linda Davies, the nurse practice specialist.
And Rayanne.
Hi, my name is Rayanne Bird. I'm the Director of Licensing.
Okay. And I think Samantha's on.
Hi, I'm Samantha Harrington, and I'm an Assistant Attorney General Discipline Counsel for the board.
And I think Sharon, are you on too? She's transitioning into a new office right now. so she may not have her microphone working, but she works for Janelle and is support for education. And Andrew?
Good afternoon. My name is Andy Martin. I am the Public Information Officer, and thank you for being here today.
Oh, we've got two Andrews. That's right. I forgot about that today. Hello, Mr. Nussbaum.
Good afternoon. I'm Andrew Nussbaum. I am outside counsel for the state of Kansas for the RA medical matter.
And I believe we have Lisa Mendoza.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Mendoza. I'm a First Assistant Attorney General and General Counsel to the board.
And Joseph.
Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Bizzotti. I'm also Assistant Attorney General and General Counsel for the board.
And I believe Nicole's on as well.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Turner. I am an Assistant Attorney General and General Counsel for the board.
Okay. And you've met Colton. He's on running our meeting. And then myself, I'm Adrian Guerrero. I'm the Director of Operations here at the board and currently assisting with the Executive Administrator role for a little while. So with that, we need to look at seeing if there's any additions or revisions to the board agenda.
Adrian, this is Nicole with the Attorney General's office. Do we need to amend the agenda to add the Attorney General's contract for consideration, or do you have that authority? Do you know if we need to add it?
That might be a good idea, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we could have a motion to amend the agenda to add consideration of the Attorney General's contract with the board. That would be wonderful.
I move that we add the Attorney General's motion to the board.
Perfect.
Thank you. So
and
then
this
we
is
need to
Amy
vote.
Garcia. I'd like us to add an update on progress toward Senate Bill 2528.
This is Lisa Mendoza, General Counsel for the board. Two things. Board Member Garcia, we are going to have an update about 2528. a fairly substantial one. Also, if we're going to make a motion to add the Attorney General's contract to the board, we need a second. And then we
I'll
would need a
second
vote.
Fields.
Okay, thank you.
Beat me to it, Lisa. I was gonna ask.
I was trying, but I had muted myself again, so.
We got good counsel. Thank you for keeping us honest here.
Not to hop on you, but I guess the next thing would to be ask if there's any further discussion of that one or anything else you want to add to the agenda so we can roll that all up into one. If there's nothing else to add to the agenda and there's no further discussion, then Adrian, I think you could properly call for the vote.
Okay. With that, I would entertain a vote for an approval of the agenda as revised, amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, well, that motion passes. The next,
Adrian, I'm sorry to jump on you again. Adrian, I think we could add that under new business as item E, consideration of the Attorney General contract.
okay, that sounds wonderful. Thank you. And would that be in full meeting or executive session?
No, it's in an open meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, with that, next item is announcements and welcomes. And if I could have a few minutes, I just wanted to make a few words of comment and just to share where we've been at here as a board over the past, I guess, today is day 100 for us. So I just want to welcome those new members of the board and those watching online. And first, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to each of you on this newly constituted interim board for your willingness to serve the people of Kansas. Public service is not an easy thing. Your decisions to step forward during this time of significant change really speaks volumes about your commitment to the nursing profession and to protecting the public. You're joining the Board of Nursing at a pivotal moment. With the passage of House Bill 2528 and Senate Bill 334, we are navigating some of the most significant transitions in our agency's 113-year history. And while there has certainly been challenges ahead, there's also tremendous opportunities. And although change can be difficult, it also gives us an opportunity to improve our processes, to strengthen collaboration, and to build partnerships as we move this agency forward for the people of Kansas. We've had an incredibly busy few months. As I said, today marks my 100th day serving as the acting exec. And throughout this time, I've been continually impressed by the dedication of our staff. Everyone has stepped up, taken on extra responsibilities. They're working together to implement many necessary changes. And I want to sincerely thank each of them for their hard work and commitment during this transition. I also want to express my sincere appreciation to the proponents, the neutral parties, and the opponents who participated in the discussion surrounding House Bill 2528. And while there were differing opinions and viewpoints throughout the process, I believe that everybody was guided by a shared commitment to serving the people of Kansas and strengthening the nursing profession. We recognize that this period of transition has generated a bit of frustration and we've had to been extended a lot of patience. And so we thank you for that grace you've extended to us as we diligently work to implement these significant changes while we're also continuing to fulfill our mission. Your trust and support is deeply appreciated, and we remain committed to emerging from this transition even stronger and more efficient as an agency. And while we're working overtime to get all these changes in place, we thank you for your continued patience. Over the past few months, we've begun embracing opportunities of our staff and done some expanded engagement with stakeholders across Kansas in the professional conferences, meetings with healthcare partners, reconnecting with other regulatory agencies. We've been collaborating with the Nursing Workforce Center. We're strengthening our relationships with the governor's office, with the attorney general's office, the personnel services, budget, and other state leaders. And internally, we've established recurring leadership and staff meetings with the goal of increasing communication across our agency to ensure that we remain aligned and focused on continuous improvement. Our IT and our public information teams have been working closely with NCSBN and our licensing vendors to get the initiatives for Nurses e-Notify. We're working on cybersecurity, our continuity of operations plans, infrastructure improvements, and we're starting to build out the new late renewal grace period requirements for our system. And our technologies are highly integrated. And so various systems and processes, it's not just an easy flip the switch thing. However, we're making steady progress as we continue to hopefully get that configured soon. And as part of our outreach efforts, we'll be hosting an educational webinar in conjunction with the Kansas Hospital Association on July 28th from about noon to 1, titled Strengthening Nurse License Monitoring Through Nurses e-Notify. And we believe these efforts will help ensure that licensees and employers are prepared to meet the needs of nurse licensure status verification and renewal reminders so that everybody's in the know about their licensure. And because of all these transitions that are going on, we'll be asking a great deal of this interim board over the coming weeks and months. And there will be several times that we're going to have some time-sensitive issues that require your attention, and many will have very short turnaround times, including one that you're going to hear about today during our meeting for a couple educational programs that desperately need reviews and approvals. So this topic will need a rapid attention from the board's committees. And we truly appreciate your flexibility and willingness to serve during this transition. I also want to emphasize the important participation will be. As an interim board, we're operating with fewer members than we have with a fully constituted board of 11. So your attendance to meeting is critical to ensure that we can establish a quorum, achieve required majority votes, and continue carrying out the board's statutory responsibilities without unnecessary delays, and every member's participation is meaningful and makes a big difference. And please know that you're not expected to do this alone. Our staff is here to support you along the way. We are committed to providing you with information and resources and guidance so that you can be successful in your role. And if you ever have any questions whatsoever, or simply just want to discuss an issue, please don't hesitate to reach out because we're here to help. We're here to help you succeed. And I want to thank your families, your employers, your colleagues for supporting your service. Serving on a board, especially a regulatory board, requires meaningful commitment of time and energy, and we recognize the sacrifice that is. So on behalf of the entire KSBN staff, we wish you a warm welcome, and we're honored to have you work alongside us. And I am confident that together we'll be successful in navigating this transition and that will strengthen public confidence in nursing regulation and continue the board's longstanding mission of protecting and promoting health and safety and welfare of the people of Kansas. So thank you again for your willingness to serve the Kansas State Board of Nursing. And I'd also like to take a moment to introduce our general counsels, Lisa Mendoza and Joseph Benghazi, who you heard, who have recently transitioned to help us on the board in this variety of important matters. They're dealing with a lot from me and us as we give them a lot of things to think about. They've already been providing very valuable guidance on several issues, including some that you're going to hear about today. So we really appreciate them stepping forward and being a part of it. I also want to recognize our outgoing general counsel, Nicole Turner, who will be transitioning from her current role at the end of this month to pursue new opportunities. Nicole, thank you for your steady guidance, professionalism, and your counsel over the past few months. We sincerely appreciate it, your service, and I wish you every success and happiness in your next part of your career. So with that, I think we're ready to review the minutes. And I realize that many of you on here didn't know what was going on with the minutes in the past meeting, but you should have a copy of the draft minutes on your email. Oops, hold on a second. There we go. And with that, unless there's changes that you would like to have or discussion, I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I move to approve the minutes from the March meeting. Ms. Belinda.
And do we have a second?
I second it, Ruth Burkhart.
Okay. Okay, any discussion? If not, all those in favor of passing the minutes from the March meeting signify by saying aye.
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 Sorry. And then any opposed? So the motion passes. Okay, this brings us to topic number 5. I think we're going to go into the executive sessions. Is that correct, Lisa?
Yes. And
Okay.
Nicole has the motion. We have at least 3 executive sessions we'll need to conduct. The first one will be to discuss litigation concerning a case involving Aria Medical. And Nicole has a motion that she could read for the board rather than asking one of the board members to read it because it's a little long. We thought we would do it for you, and that way you would hear and understand, and then we could answer any questions you have about that. And then we could move into the executive session after there's a proper motion and a vote for it. Nicole?
Thank you. So I will need a motion from a member of the board for the following. I move that the board recess into executive session to discuss pending litigation in an ongoing court case. The justification is for consultation with an attorney for the public body or agency, which is deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship pursuant to KSA 75-4319, subsection B2. We require Adrian Guerrero, Director of Operations, Andrew Nussbaum, Attorney for the Board, Jay Rodriguez, Deputy Attorney General and Attorney for the Board, and Lisa Mendoza, First Assistant Attorney General, Nicole Turner, Assistant Attorney General, and Joseph Bazzotti, Assistant Attorney General, as General Counsel for the Board, to be admitted into the executive session to aid the board in its discussions. This open meeting shall resume in, Mr. Nussbaum, how long do you think you may need?
It'll be, my presentation will be probably 5 to 10 minutes and depends on the board's questions.
Okay. So
start with 20,
okay,
25, 20. Think you'll do that, Andrew?
Yes, I think that'll be just fine.
Okay. So the open meeting shall resume in 20 minutes at 1:38 p.m. on this Zoom meeting and at 900 Southwest Jackson Street, room 1051, Topeka, Kansas, 66612. And we would need a motion and a second.
I will move that we adjourn and recess to executive session to discuss the items that Nicole Turner went over for
I
approximately
second.
20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Who
So
was the second?
there's a particular way we have to do this for the coma. So which we will teach you about. So the motion would be to recess into executive session as described by Nicole. And that would be your motion, correct, Ms. Fields? Okay.
Yes.
And then who was the second?
Garcia.
Okay, so and then the motion would be seconded by Ms. Garcia. And then Adrian, if you would ask if there's any further discussion of it.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? If not, I'll attend, signify by saying aye to approve.
Aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Any opposed? Should pass. And from a logistical reminder, we're going to be shifting from Zoom to Teams for those that are going to be in that session, and you should have had an invite in your email. So we'll ask you to sign off of the Zoom for now so that it's still doing the public side of things, and we'll go to Teams.
Okay, and just to be clear, we're just recessing. We are not adjourning. Okay, we will be
Correct.
back to this meeting. Okay.
And it'll stay open for all the guests. You can still be on the Zoom. Thank you. Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. We're going to do a real quick roll here. Amy Garcia,
Present.
Ashley Weber,
Present.
Linda Katz,
Present.
Jobin Reith,
Present.
Ruth Burkhart,
Present.
Tasha Fields,
Present.
and Troy Spain.
Present.
Okay, I'll hand it back over to the general counsels.
So if there are no further questions, we can have another executive session if there are more questions. If there are not any more questions, then Nicole has the motion to read to you. And all we would have, the motion would be, I so move after she reads it. And the second would be, I second the motion. And you don't have to try and summarize it or do anything else. It would be that simple. Okay. If there are no questions about that and nobody wants to go back into executive session, then we would be ready for the motion as read by Nicole. Looks like
Okay.
we're ready then.
So the motion would be, I move that the Kansas State Board of Nursing delegate its authority as follows. The board hereby delegates Adrian R. Guerrero, CPM, Director of Operations of the Kansas State Board of Nursing, the client representative, the authority to direct litigation in ARIA Medical versus KSBN et al., case number SN-2025-CV-00298 on behalf of the board, including but not limited to responding to, coordinating, and verifying responses to discovery requests, including interrogatories, requests for production, and requests for admission, reviewing and approving legal strategy and consultation with the board's legal counsel, communicating with and providing direction to legal counsel on behalf of the board, executing documents, declarations, and verifications reasonably necessary to the defense of the litigation, and addressing such other matters pertaining to the litigation as may arise in the ordinary course, provided that any settlement, consent judgment, or resolution imposing material obligations on the board shall remain subject to approval by the full board. Upon the appointment of a new executive administrator of the Kansas State Board of Nursing, the authority delegated by the board in this motion shall automatically be conferred upon any newly appointed executive administrator without further action by the board, and the executive administrator shall then serve as the client representative for all litigation purposes identified in this motion.
I so move.
I second. Belinda Katz.
Who is the motion?
Weber.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so now
We need to vote.
the motion has been approved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
It's
Aye.
been moved.
Aye.
Oh,
Wait, I'm sorry, I muted myself. The question would be, Adrian, is there any further discussion of the motion?
Okay. Is there any further discussion of the motion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, and I believe, are we going to go ahead and go into the next sessions, or are we going to continue on with the agenda at this point?
we have another executive session at this point.
Okay,
I will read this one. Same as last time, we'll just need someone to move, and then a second, any discussion, and then approval. I believe we discussed 30 minutes for this one. This will be for House Bill 2528. So I move that the board recess into executive session to discuss its legal obligations and potential liabilities under House Bill 2528. The justification is for consultation with an attorney for the public body or agency, which is deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. We require Adrian Guerrero, Director of Operations, and Lisa Mendoza, First Assistant Attorney General, Nicole Turner, Assistant Attorney General, and Joseph Bazzotti, Assistant Attorney General, as general counsel to the board to be admitted to the executive session to aid the board in its discussions. The open meeting shall resume in 30 minutes at 2:15. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yes.
Okay, 2:15 p.m. And on this Zoom meeting and at 900 Southwest Jackson Street, room 1051, Topeka, Kansas 66612. So we need a
So
motion. Oh, thank you.
second, Garcia.
Thank you.
So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Excuse me, who was the one that made the motion?
Ms.
It's
Katz.
Belinda.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Same process as before. Drop off this meeting and move into the next. Okay.
Okay.
We're
Ready for
gonna
another
convene
motion?
the meeting back to order, and we do have a motion.
Okay. I will need a motion for the following. I move that the board recess into executive session to discuss its legal obligations and potential liabilities under House Bill 2528. That is justification for consultation with an attorney for the public body or agency which is deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. We require Adrian Guerrero, Director of Operations, and Lisa Mendoza, First Assistant Attorney General, Nicole Turner, Assistant Attorney General, and Joseph Bazzotti, Assistant Attorney General and General Counsel to the board, to be admitted to the executive session to aid the board in its discussions. The open meeting shall resume in 20 minutes at 2:37 p.m. on this Zoom meeting and at 900 Southwest Jackson Street, room 1051, Topeka, Kansas 66612.
I so move. Weber.
Second, Garcia.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. The motion passes and we will move back into the executive session. Okay, we'll reconvene and bring this meeting back to order. I believe we're going to have some motions.
This is Nicole Turner with the Attorney General's office. I believe we need a final decision on potential members of a committee.
Members of the board.
Perhaps if anybody wants to serve on a committee to assist in reviewing void cases, they could raise a hand or speak up. I see
Be willing
Ms.
to
Katz,
serve.
I see Ms. Weber. That's two. Ms. Fields.
Yep.
Okay, so that's three people. Is that anybody else?
I'm willing to serve if needed.
Okay,
Thank you.
so let's say the board. Are you satisfied with Ms. Fields, Ms. Weber, and Ms. Katz? Does that do it? Because then you'll need to vote.
I think I would rather have Ruth on there than me. She's very knowledgeable in the investigation. If somebody drops out and I can be an alternate, I would rather do that. I just think that Ruth is very knowledgeable in this and is a good leader.
Thank you.
So with that, would that be part of the formal motion, Nicole? Is that what you need to read off in some fashion?
I will read it. I have, just to make sure I'm clear, the members will be Tasha Fields, Ashley Weber, and Ruth Burkhart as board members on this committee.
Correct.
Okay. So I would need a motion for the following. I move that the board create and delegate its authority to a committee consisting of board members Tasha Fields, Ashley Weber, and Ruth Burkhart for review of cases void under HB 2528 and to make determinations regarding notifications to individuals and entities regarding those void cases.
I so move.
I
This is
second.
Belinda Katz.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I second Weber.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, who was the one that made the actual motion?
Katz.
Katz, okay. And then it was Garcia for the second?
Ms. Weber.
Ms.
Or
Weber.
Weber, okay. Sorry. Okay.
So we have a
Can
motion
Weber
and a
do
second.
that? Excuse me,
I'm sorry?
can Weber make the motion if she's in the motion?
Ms. Katz did the.
Oh,
Motion.
that's right, sorry. I'm sorry, I'm confused, but yeah.
No worries, we're working through it. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And then any opposed, same sign. Okay, that motion passes. Okay, I think we have, what, one more session? Is that correct?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct. We have one more executive session topic. Sorry, just making sure I get everything noted here. Okay, the motion I will need is for the following. I move that the board recess into executive session to discuss the board's legal obligations and potential liabilities under the Kansas Open Records Act. The justification is for consultation with an attorney for the public body or agency which is deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship. We require Adrian Guerrero, Director of Operations, and Lisa Mendoza, First Assistant Attorney General, Nicole Turner, Assistant Attorney General, and Joseph Bazzotti, Assistant Attorney General, and as General Counsel to the board, to be admitted to the executive session to aid the board in its discussions. The open meeting shall resume in 20 minutes at 3:02 p.m. on this Zoom meeting and at 900 Southwest Jackson, room 1051, and Topeka, Kansas 66612.
I so move Garcia.
I second.
I second.
Sorry, I missed the second on that one.
Reith, I second.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The same sign. And the motion passes, and we'll convene back into executive session. Okay, we'll bring the meeting back to order. Is it, I guess, would this be the point where we want to see if they want to reconvene back into executive session? Zach?
Yeah, if the board has any additional questions, we can certainly go back into executive session. If it does not, then that concludes what we had to advise the board about. And I think what we heard, the part that can be open and not waived would be that the board is interested in receiving a report on the status of any and all Cora requests. And I don't believe that requires a vote.
Sorry? It
That does
does
not
require-
require a vote, no.
What's the will of the board? Do you wish to have more time, or is this sufficient and we report out at the next meeting?
I think it's sufficient from my standpoint.
It's sufficient. Thank you.
I would agree.
Okay, sounds like we have a bit of a consensus on that one. So I guess at this point, we will move to new business. Should we start with the election of officers? I'll defer to the GCs if general counsel.
Thank you. This
Follow
is
our
Nicole.
agenda.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. So next on our agenda is election of officers. I will note that under law, there will be a requirement to do this again in September, but to get you by until September, you need to elect officers today. So we have some motions here for the board president, board's vice president, and secretary. And so that way we can have just that in place for procedural purposes. And when we get to our delegations of authority, we know who those will go to. So the first one will be, we need someone to serve as the board's president. And if anybody's willing to volunteer or that discussion can be had. So
Nominations.
yeah.
Can we nominate our friends? Can I nominate Ruth?
Who is
I'm
that?
sorry, I missed who that was.
Ms. Weber.
Weber, Miss Weber.
Ms. Weber
Okay.
nominating Ruth to be board president.
Any other nominations? Now, did we go ahead and vote on this now? Or,
You close the nominations, I think would be the next step. If there are no other nominations for board president.
okay, hearing no other nominations, we can close that nominations. Do we need a motion and a second?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Would anyone like to make the motion?
I move to appoint Ruth Burkhart as the president of the Kansas State Board of Nursing.
Fields, second.
And that was seconded by Todd. So it was moved by Belinda and seconded by Tasha. Is there any other discussions? If not, all of those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign? Okay, motion passes. Guess we will move on to the vice president. Are we ready to go ahead and select nominations, or do you need to read that as well?
Dr. Burkhart, would you at this point like to,
Ah,
since you've
yes.
been elected president?
That's a good point. Thank
would
you.
Would you like
Very
to
good.
now run the meeting, or would you like Adrian to continue to run the meeting for you?
Adrian, I will leave that up to you, and thank you, Ashley, and thank you. I'm glad to serve in any capacity. So Adrian, it's your choice.
I'm wearing
You've
lots of
already-
hats, so I would gladly turn one over.
Thank you. Well, I'm just going to say we're already mostly through, it looks like, and please just feel free to continue. And thank you.
Okay. No worries. Okay. Do you need to read another motion for that, Nicole, or is it, go ahead
We'll
and
just-
start?
We can start nominations for the vice president.
Okay, well, we'll open the floor for nominations for vice president.
I
I'll nominate
Tasha.
myself to serve.
Oh, who's up? Amy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it
Amy
Ashley? Is that
Garcia.
something you would want to
I was
do?
gonna nominate Tasha because I'll just pick people, and I think that Tasha was another good one to pick, but absolutely,
Okay.
I agree with you as well.
So is that a nomination for both or nomination for one?
Nomination for Amy.
Any others? Okay, well, with that, we will close the nominations. Would anyone like to make the motion for Amy Garcia to serve as vice president?
I motion for Amy Garcia to serve as vice president, and this would be until September. Is that correct?
Yes,
Correct,
and
that's
then
my understanding.
in September, you're required to do it again. You can either switch it up or keep them the same. You guys can decide in September. So,
Thank you.
I second the motion.
I'm sorry, I missed that one. Who was that?
Ms.
Weber?
Weber.
Weber. Okay, so it's been by Dr. Burkhart and seconded by Ms. Weber to nominate Amy Garcia for vice president of the Board of Nursing. Is there any other discussion? If not, all of those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Okay, with that, the motion passes. Congratulations. And I believe we have one more position left. Go ahead and open up the floor for nominations for the position of secretary.
I nominate Jobin Wright for secretary.
Any other nominations? Okay, well, I guess we'll close the nominations there.
Is there a second for that nomination?
Yeah. So there will be a motion by Ruth Burkhart. Is there a second?
I second Weber.
Ashley. Okay, so that's been moved by Dr. Burkhart and seconded by Ms. Weber to nominate Jobin Reith for office of secretary. Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, the same sign? All right, well, the motion passes. Congratulations. Really elected. We got a board president, vice president, secretary now. Thank you, members. So with that, we'll move on to the next section, which is, let's see, the B. So that's the CORA and COMA training. Who was going to do that? Was that you, Nicole, or?
Yes.
Okay. Turn the floor over to you.
Awesome. I will share my screen so the board members can follow along. Let's see. Maybe. Let's see. Sorry, folks. There we go. Sorry, technology is great. Let's see, video and share. Can you all see a CORA COMA presentation?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you all. So once again, my name is Nicole Turner. I'm an Assistant Attorney General. This will be likely my one and only board meeting with you all, but while I'm here, I thought I'd do some open meetings and open records training. You will also see here Lisa Mendoza is a First Assistant Attorney General, and Mr. Joseph Bazzotti is Assistant Attorney General. They will be continuing with you all and available for any questions that you may have in the future regarding CORA and COMA. If you have any questions while I'm going through this presentation, please do not hesitate to ask. We'll start with the Open Meetings Act and then go into CORA. I know we've got a lot that we've been covering today, so I'm going to do highlights for you all, the things that you will need to know immediately as a board, and then we can get into the nitty-gritty at a later date. Just a few caveats. I don't speak for the Attorney General. These are our own opinions, and let's get started. So we have the Kansas Open Meetings Act, which is where we will start. So just some policy considerations for the Open Meetings Act. Meetings shall be open to the public because it is a representative government is dependent upon an informed electorate. So this is all about transparency. You'll notice this is consistent throughout COMA and CORA. It's the right to observe governmental policymakers by the public. And generally, if the court has a question about COMA, it's interpreted liberally and exceptions are applied narrowly to carry out that purpose of transparency and public benefit for observing meetings. For being subject to the COMA, you all are part of a state agency. So you and the subordinate groups or the subcommittees of this board fall under the Kansas Open Meetings Act, generally speaking. Subordinate groups are not defined, but generally speaking, if they're created or created by the covered entity, which would be the Board of Nursing, or they become an extension of that entity, they're most likely going to be covered under the COMA. When we determine whether something's under the COMA, we talk about, is it formally constituted? Does it have bylaws? How often does it meet? Do they maintain minutes? Are there officers like you just elected? Things like that. So things that are not subject to the COMA, when you're exercising quasi-judicial functions, this could be your investigative committee, depending on how it is set up. That could fall under a quasi-judicial function, which is not a open meeting under COMA. It is a separate proceeding. CAPA, the Kansas Administrative Procedures Act, those hearings are guided by their own set of statutes. And then the judiciary, private organizations, and staff meetings, as long as there is not, there are not a majority of the board members attending those staff meetings or something that would fall under a meeting under the Kansas Open Meetings Act, generally staff meetings are not subject. What is a meeting? It's a gathering or assembly in person through the use of a telephone or any other medium or for interactive communication. This can be email, texting, chats, any way that you can communicate amongst yourselves, that is a gathering or assembly. And it has to be by the majority of the membership. So a majority is different than a quorum, generally speaking. We discuss majority of a membership when determining whether there is a meeting under the COMA, and a majority is half plus one. So that's how that works with this board, as well as other agencies. And then the meeting or the gathering with the majority of the membership has to be for the purpose of discussing the business or affairs of the public body or agency. So gathering or assembly, this is like I talked about, it could be various different things that are considered a gathering through a medium. Informal discussions before, during, after recess of a meeting or adjournment of a meeting could be subject to the coma, depending on what is discussed. And your name of the gathering is irrelevant. So if you have a board retreat that you go to, those are likely going to be open meetings. Board trainings such as this one is part of an open meeting because you're discussing the affairs or the business of the board. Something to keep in mind is if you have an open meeting, it needs to be accessible to the public. So event spaces that are considered private and does not allow the public to enter without paying a fee or something, those would not be considered accessible to the public under the coma. And a majority we talked about. Discussion, you do not have to take.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Discussion, there does not have to be a binding action or voting. It's just the discussion itself that can trigger the coma. Like I talked about, retreats, social gatherings, conferences, trainings, seminars, etc. Those can all be they can all fall under a meeting under coma or triggering meeting under the coma. When traveling to conferences, we always advise that a majority does not go and you do not discuss the business or affairs of the public body when possible. Otherwise, you have a meeting. So notice there is a requirement that you notice meetings to those who have requested it. COMA does not require it to be published in a newspaper or a website, but there is an executive order. It's 18-08, and it requires that the public body post all meetings, the notices of the meetings and the meeting minutes on public square. And this is what your public square looks like. It is a website. It will show a calendar of all the meetings. This is the first part of July. I went ahead and screenshotted that for you. So you can see kind of what it looks like, but each of these entities you could click on and find details about their board meetings or the meeting that is happening at that date and time. Additionally, for those that request notice of meetings, their request is valid for a fiscal year. And prior to that fiscal year ending or that request expiring, you have to notify the party that they are expiring and give them the opportunity to essentially re-up that notice. See, serial communications. This is a pretty big item. This is where you could get it. This is where boards can get into trouble. So if it collectively involves a majority of the membership, there's a common topic of discussion and there's an agreement that is intended to be reached on a matter that would require binding action. That is a serial communication. This is, again, like I talked about with emails, text messages, phone calls, etc. Even using staff members as an agent or a go-between between board members about that common topic of discussion could end up reaching a majority of the membership, and then you would have a serial communication. The thing to remember is do not reply all, do not forward emails. That's why when Adrian sends you emails about board meetings or just information about the board, he has the big red lettering at the top. That is to remind you of COMA. For COMA, we will talk about this a little bit, but it is separate. It is different from the CORA and the liability of violations. So COMA is assessed to the individual. It is not assessed to the agency when there's a violation. And it can be per email, per phone call, per text message. And those can add up very quickly. And it can be up to $500 per violation for those as well. So we highly caution communications and serial communications in that same vein. COMA does not talk about meeting procedures. There's not a requirement to create an agenda, but if you know the topics planned for discussion, you have to include those in the agenda. You can amend the agenda during the meeting like we did today. And then if someone requests the agenda, you must make it available. People may record public meetings as long as it's not disruptive. The board does not have to permit the public to speak, but they may. And then like we talked about location of the meeting, it needs to be accessible to the public. There's no secret ballots, voting outside of a meeting, etc. And then minutes, the key for minutes is the only thing you're required for minutes is for the executive session motion. We've had several of those today to be recorded verbatim into the minutes. So what I do generally is provide the motions to staff so they have the full motion and they can put it into the minutes and ensure that it is the exact motion that was read in the open meeting. Executive sessions. So this will explain some of the procedure we did today. So this allows you to discuss certain things outside of the public view. Today it was attorney-client privilege. It could be for personnel matters of non-elected personnel. You cannot extend an executive session, but you may come back to the open meeting and recess again into executive session. And so you can have multiple executive sessions in order to discuss a topic. You cannot take binding action in executive session. You have to vote in an open meeting. You can have a consensus in the executive session, you just cannot take a binding action. And then we talked about the motion being recorded in the minutes. There are certain parts that are required to be in an executive session motion. The statement of the subjects to be discussed, the justification, which comes from KSA 75-4319, which is your personnel matters for non-elected personnel, attorney-client privilege, or other enumerated justifications, and then also the time and place where the meeting will resume in the open. These are commonly used justifications. We've discussed personnel matters. We've had attorney-client privilege discussions today, so those are all commonly used ones. Members of the public body are the only ones permitted to attend an executive session unless there are staff, agents, or other individuals that would aid in the discussion, provide information on a topic, or be able to participate in the discussion with the board. Otherwise, mere observers do not have a right to attend a executive session. Sorry. Penalties, as we discussed, it's up to $500 for each violation paid by each individual member of the public body who knowingly violates the COMA. You may be required to complete Attorney General approved training. There may be an order to cease and desist, requirements to comply with COMA, and then there may be reasonable expenses, investigative costs, or attorney's fees. And CORA, there are a lot of aspects of CORA. The main ones you need to consider, we'll go through as far as highlights for the CORA. Again, the policy is public transparency. And so CORA is procedural in nature, and it also defines and categorizes records. So there's kind of two areas that CORA addresses. Let's see. So a public record is any recorded information, regardless of form, characteristics, or location, which is made, maintained, or kept or by or is in the possession of the public agency or any officer or employee of the public agency pursuant to their official duties and related to the functions, activities, programs, or operations of the public agency. So this could be your emails that you're receiving as part of board business or your duties as a board member. It could be data, written records, etc., that are all kept as a part of your duties as a board member. This does not include records that are owned by a private person or entity and not related to functions, activities, programs, or operated funded by public funds. Also, records that are not in existence at the time of the request, you don't have to create a record in order to fulfill a request for records. So if you get a request for something in the future that has not been created, is not in existence at the time of the request, you don't have to create something in order for that request to be fulfilled. This definition of a public agency is similar to that of COMA. There is also an instrumentality portion, which is not defined. This is similar to your subcommittees. If it's created by a covered entity or the group has become an extension of that covered entity, it also is most likely covered by the CORA. Municipal or state judges or justices and private companies do not constitute public agencies under the CORA. Agencies are required to appoint a Freedom of Information officer to assist with CORA requests. There has to be a brochure made available that describes requesters' rights, public agency responsibilities, and procedures for requesters to inspect or obtain copies of public records. The agency must include the name and title of the records custodian, fees for producing records if there are fees to be assessed for, say, a very voluminous CORA request that is several hundreds or thousands of pages that will take significant staff time to review, redact, etc. And then office hours for people to come in and make a request in person. Any person can make a request. They do not have to be a resident of Kansas, and the public agency may require it be in writing, but they cannot require that it be on a specific form. It can be in an email, it can be on a piece of paper. They can have a form for the public to use, but the whole goal is that if the request is in writing, you accept that as a CORA request. And then there's also the ability to have a written certification, say they're wanting an address list or something like that, that they certify that they're not going to use those records to solicit sales or services. If there is a question about the identity of a person and their right to records, say their personnel records or medical records, etc., those are instances where you may require proof of identification, but it is not every CORA request you have to have proof of identification. The public has a right to review all public records. They may make copies of records. And then if portions of a record are closed, you still must make the remainder available to the requester. So they may not remove a public record without written consent of the custodian. And then copyrighted materials may not be reproduced. Responding to the request. This is a big one for board members. As board members, you may get something that looks like a CORA request or is a CORA request to your email. If that happens, you immediately need to get that to Adrian and the appropriate staff to handle the records request, because you have a 3 business day time frame to respond to that request. That is 3 business days following the date of the request being received, and that does not include holidays or weekends. But that 3 business days does come very quickly. So this, as soon as you see that come through, if it's on your email or whatever, you need to get it to the appropriate staff so they can handle that request appropriately. There are 3 acceptable responses to the request. It's either that you provide the records in the form requested, you state that the request is under review, and then you will follow up with the requester and provide status updates to the requester if need be. And then if you're denying the request, you explain why it's denied, or maybe you don't have the records, so you're not able to provide them. For production of records, there's a recent court case in Kansas that states the plain language of KSA 45-219 subsection A requires a public agency upon request to provide a copy of the public record in the format in which it maintains the record. You can produce copies in addition to a record in its native format, but you cannot do it in place of that native format. You can only recover actual costs to provide the records if you provide a cost estimate and you do not expend the time and resources to cover that entire cost. then you would refund the money to the requester. If you go over that, you have the ability to stop and do another cost estimate and request the requester request that they pay additional fees to cover the rest of the production. There is an executive order, it's 18-05, that prohibits charging a fee up to and including the production of the first 100 pages of records. And this is also under the CORA, there's no flat fees, it's actual costs. So if you are going to provide a cost estimate, it has to be for the actual time that is estimated to be spent producing those records. The other part of CORA is categorization. As we talked about previously, there are several exemptions to disclosure that are either discretionary or mandatory. There are personal privacy concerns, safety or security concerns, or internal communications while policies are developed or administrative procedures are underway. Mandatory closure, these are things that are required to be closed by federal or state statute that are outside of the CORA. CORA looks to other statutes first, and then it goes to KSA 45-221, which provides several discretionary exemptions to disclosure. And it's very important that whoever your records custodian is be familiar with these exemptions to disclosure and how the CORA works. For penalties under the CORA, it is up to $500 for each violation. This is payable by the agency, not the individual. So the agency is responsible for penalties under the CORA. You may have to complete Attorney General approved training, cease and desist orders may be issued, requirements to comply with the CORA, or also reasonable expenses, investigative costs, and attorney's fees may be assessed. If you want more information on open records, as I'm sure all of you do, or open meetings, because it's still fun and who doesn't love it, we have on the Attorney General's website an open government page. It has a lot of great resources as far as FAQs, a citizen's guide to CORA that is very useful. It's for CORA and COMA actually, and it walks you through different aspects of these acts and what they require. And then if you really want more resources, you can also look at AG opinions or other resources on our website. Those are all available to you. If you have questions about CORA or COMA, you also have us in the Attorney General's office as your general counsel that you can inquire to about COMA or CORA, and we can help guide you. So I will stop sharing, and that is what I have for you all for CORA and COMA.
Nicole, is that something we can get a copy of those PowerPoints that we can send around to the board?
Absolutely. I will get a copy sent out to the board members today.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your presentation as well.
Yep.
Questions, members? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to our next area of new business. And this is one that we need some special attention to because we do have some pretty tight timelines on a few things we need to get turned around in terms of, especially in education. I guess both actually are pretty important. So I will turn it over. Nicole, how do we go about making motions for this? This will be a new one for me.
So we have a series of motions that include first the creation of committees, delegating authority to those committees. The two committees we're focusing on today are the investigative and the education committees due to things that are pending or needing to be addressed at those committee levels. And then after that, it's also in the agenda, we'll delegate authority for various items. But first up, we are on investigative committee. And we will need some board members to serve on that investigative committee, some things to keep in mind are if you are on investigative committee, there may be considerations as far as what your abilities are to review things in the future if there's an appeal of something or request for reconsideration under the Kansas Administrative Procedures Act, or other aspects. You would not be able to be a part of those discussions. So the investigative committee, when they make their decisions, they are essentially firewalled from further consideration. And Joe and Lisa, feel free to jump in if I miss something with that. But otherwise, we need some members to volunteer or nominate to serve on the investigative committee, and then we can go from there. We'll also
And do
want
they need to
someone.
have any,
Oh,
I'm sorry. Do
sorry.
they need to have any special consideration for the members that were just elected officers?
So the board president, we generally have prepared a motion that they would be the agency head under the Administrative Procedures Act, which a consideration for that is you would not want them on the investigative committee due to that conflict.
So that sets the stage for members who are interested in serving on those committees.
Mm-hmm.
On the investigative, I guess, would be the first one. Excuse me.
I'd be willing to be considered for the investigative committee.
Thank you.
And how many are on each committee?
I think for investigative, you would probably want 3 at a minimum. And 3 is probably your good number due to the number of board members that you have currently.
I'd be interested in the investigative committee as well. This is Jobin.
Okay, so we got 2 members. Anyone else?
We can do it with 2. Just
I'll
be
do it.
aware of Ms. Weber.
Yep.
Okay. Is there anybody interested in being, out of those 3, interested in being the chair of the investigative committee? Or nominating one of you 3?
Yeah, I nominate Belinda.
Okay.
Do we need to do this full motion or do we need to do each one?
I can read the full motion if that is what we're ready for.
Well, I don't think we have a vice chair, do we? We probably need one of those, right? Or do we?
No, I think you just need a chair for the investigative.
Okay.
So I would need a motion.
Nicole, do you want a second for the nomination for chair?
Oh, yes, sorry.
No, that's fine.
This is Jobin. I second.
So we have a motion from, sorry, I missed who that was. It Tasha, was that?
Ms. Weber, I believe, nominated
okay.
Belinda for chair.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and Jobin did a second. So do we need to vote on
Nope,
that and
not
then
yet.
vote on the
No.
full committee?
Nicole needs to read the motion.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll need a motion for the following. I move that the board create an investigative committee consisting of the following board members: Belinda Katz, Jobin Reith, Ashley Weber. I further move that Belinda Katz be designated as the chair of the investigative committee. So we'll need a motion and a second.
I so move, Ruth Burkhart.
Okay.
Garcia, second.
Okay.
So we have a motion by Dr. Burkhart and a second by Dr. Garcia. Is there any discussion?
Quick question, Nicole. Do you think we need to vote separately? I don't think so. Even though we're nominated, we have a nomination from Ms. Weber and a second from Jobin Reith for the chair of the investigative committee. But I'm not sure we really need a motion on that. I was just looking for some kind of consensus, I think, to have somebody as the chair. You're all right with that? Or do
Yeah.
you want to vote separately on that?
I think we're fine with the one.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on the motions that are on the floor? If not, all of those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, the same sign? And the motion passes. Welcome to the investigative committee. And now we have subsection B under creating committees in terms of education committee. Now, there was some discussion a little bit earlier this morning. In the past, there were members that needed to have certain educational experiences. Is that still a requirement of this new iteration of the board?
So for education committee, I am not aware of that. I think we have 7 members, and if we can get some members on the committee, but we also need to. Yes, Lisa.
Yeah.
You're muted.
You're muted, Lisa. She said,
Did
just a
you?
second. There we
Okay,
go.
sorry. Did you want to do the delegation motion that came next for the investigative committee?
Yeah, that's where I was just headed.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
No,
I
you're
didn't so we do delegation of authority on investigative.
Yep.
Okay, I apologize.
No, you're
I hopped
fine.
ahead.
You're fine. So, we just created the investigative committee, so now we're going to delegate authority to the investigative committee. And I will read that motion. We'll need a motion and a second when I'm done. It will need to be, I move that the board delegate to the investigative committee its authority to do the following. Make a reasonable grounds determination pursuant to the Kansas Nurse Practice Act and amendments thereto about matters that have been recommended for emergency proceedings by the board staff or council. Issue or amend any orders regarding license applications and investigations. Enter into settlement agreements regarding license applications and investigations, and make referrals, cause evaluations, or grant requests for restrictions pursuant to KSA 65-4924.
Anyone like to make that motion?
So moved. Garcia.
So we got a motion, and is there a second?
Second.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead, Jobin.
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion by Ms. Garcia and a second by Mr. Reith. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Back on the agenda, is it now appropriate to start the education conversation?
Yes.
Okay. I did want to let staff member Janelle Martin, who typically staffs that particular committee, maybe make a few comments. Janelle?
Thank you, Adrian. I think I just wanted to make the comment, and I know Nicole and Lisa and others that in our the authority for the board, there are supposed to be 2 education members assigned, and those have always been traditionally assigned then to the education committee, just because of the amount of work that we do to have some of that experience on that committee. and because a lot of the decisions and discussion that we do, it's very helpful to have those, and those have been part of our articles. And I know those aren't statutorily or regulatorily upheld, but those have been the process, and the board will have a chance to look at all of those again as we kind of get into this new board. But I just wanted to, I think, make those comments because we have a lot of decision makings related to curriculum and to board approvals based on the regulations for what they have to uphold to continue to provide an education program. So having said that, if there are any questions about what the committee does or what their responsibility is, I'm glad to answer any of those questions to the best of my ability. And welcome, everybody.
And I also might note that at least in the past, our agency had what we called the KSB and articles that kind of defined some of the roles of the committees and those sorts of things. I'm not entirely sure where those fit now with the new board and whether or not those need to be relooked at, or do they need to be scrapped, or I don't know. But that'll be something that, potentially the future board will need to consider.
Yeah, so I think right now, if I may, this is Nicole Turner. We need members that are willing to serve on the education committee. Also, there are things that are needing attention right away for the education committee. So I think the goal from Mr. Guerrero and Ms. Martin's perspective is that you would meet relatively quickly to resolve things that are outstanding with education committee. We can't get into those so we don't conflict everybody out, but just know that there are things that will need resolved rather quickly that are out there for the education committee.
And I would like to do that this week. There's been some very patient people with us, and we do need to drive this forward. So please, please, please work with us on that.
Well, I would like to serve on the education committee, and people that don't know me, I have been in nursing education for quite some time and in a leadership position.
Thank you for volunteering. Any others?
I do have
I would like to serve.
Okay. Thank you, Amy.
Okay. If I may, so I do, for Dr. Burkhart being willing to serve on the education committee, since she is the chair of the board or president of the board, and potentially serving, depending on how these delegations go, serving as agency head. Any determinations made by the education committee may come to her later on. That inability for that to be, there would be an inability for that to happen if she were to serve on education. We would have to consider something else for agency head.
What are the options for that, Nicole?
Let me look at, we are limited in who, I mean, you have 7 members.
Nicole, this is Samantha Harrington. She's also on the Boyd committee. So I just wanted to mention, I don't know if that's also a conflict with agency head. But while you're looking at that, I just want to mention it.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Harrington.
To go off of that. Thank you, Samantha.
Lisa or Joe, is there the possibility of the board president not being the agency head if they delegate to, I'm looking back, potentially the vice president or
Remind me, who's on the committee again?
which committee?
The Boyd, for a lack of better explanation, the Boyd committee?
That is Tasha Fields, Ashley Weber, and Dr. Burkhart. It looks like Ms. Garcia as vice president would be free to be agency head at this point, but she
couldn't serve on the education committee, right?
Correct.
I'll serve where I'm needed most.
Me too.
Yeah.
Well, you have experience in education, right, Amy? The education.
I've been
So
I've been assistant dean. So, yeah.
Okay.
So
familiar with that
maybe
world.
Dr. Burkhart, we could save you for agency head and, people. We're sort of limited in the number of people we have right now. And so,
Wherever
and-
I'm needed. Yeah.
Okay. So, Ms. Garcia, it would be you and were we saying 3 people for the education committee, and who else might love to serve?
I'll put my hand down then.
I see Ms. Fields.
I could. I've taught nursing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Chanel, did you have a question? You had your hand up for a while.
Oh, sorry, Janelle.
That's okay. My question was just that in the past when we've had this because we've had times when our board membership was not the 11, where we have had an education committee chair who was the board president. And in the case of what you're talking about in terms of agency head, the delegation motion just gave the agency head role to the vice chair at the time if an education issue came up. I just know that from having done this for 8 years now, we've done that in the past, and I didn't know if that was an option. But it looks like they've already.
They both
It
serve.
allowed Ruth, who has history and understanding of kind of what we're working with right now, too, to help with that, if that's a possibility.
Not if they both serve on education. It's not.
So with that, I'm hearing we have Ms. Garcia and Ms. Fields, and maybe we need one other. Is that correct?
Right.
That would be ideal, yes.
I don't have any experience with nursing curriculum specifically, but I have built curricula and have a pharmacy technician's license. So I have some background in that. I don't know how specific you need that knowledge to be around curricula. So I'm happy
Janelle
to
is
serve
nodding
if that will make.
enthusiastically.
Okay, then I'm happy to do that.
That sounds like you're volunteering, sir.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Would
So that
anyone
gives
like?
us our 3 members.
Yes, and now a chair of that committee. Ms. Garcia, Ms. Fields, or Mr. Spain?
I would vote Miss Garcia.
I was going to vote you.
He beat you to the punch, I think.
I will vote for either of you. So.
Well, I can't vote, but I'll thank all of you. How about that?
Can I second Garcia? This is Jobin Reith.
Okay.
So with that, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Or I guess, do you need to read that? I'm sorry, Nicole. Do you need to
I'll read
that?
it. Thank you. So we'll need a motion for the following. I move that the board create an education committee consisting of the following board members: Amy Garcia, Tasha Fields, Troy Spain. I further move that Amy Garcia be designated as the chair of the education committee.
I so move.
I second Katz.
Okay.
So,
So
I'm
we
sorry,
have a
was it Ms.
motion.
Weber?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I thought I recognized your voice.
So we have a motion by Ms. Weber and a second by Ms. Katz. Did I get that correctly?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign? That motion passes. And now we need to do the delegation? for this?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, turn it over to you.
Okay. I will need a motion for the following, and this will be to delegate authority to the Education Committee. I move that the board delegate to the Education Committee its authority to do the following: review reports, evaluations, and site visits of schools of nursing, APRN, RNA, and LMHT programs, and make final determinations pursuant to the Kansas Nurse Practice Act. assist with site visits to the nursing programs in the state of Kansas, and assist in developing reports to present to the Education Committee, and review and determine whether to approve or deny major curriculum changes on nursing programs within the state of Kansas.
I so move.
I'll second
I'll second.
Katz.
The second was Ms. Katz, and I didn't hear the first. I'm sorry, the
Weber.
motion was
Weber.
Ms. Weber. Okay. So I got a motion by Ms. Weber and a second by Belinda Katz. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. That motion passes. And would this be an appropriate time to go ahead and try to schedule a meeting for that or should we wait until the end or do it offline? I know there's some individuals online that are listening and I really want to give them assurance that we can turn around as fast as possible.
If you want to discuss it now, you're more than welcome to.
Okay. I would love to have this done by Wednesday, if possible. Janelle, I'll give it up to you since you typically help staff this meeting. Is there maybe I'm sorry, I don't have your schedule in front of me.
Yeah,
Is there a
am.
possibility of first thing tomorrow morning?
Or even that would be even better if you think.
I think I think that you would have to give notice of this committee meeting for the COMA. And I'm not sure that first thing tomorrow morning would comply with the reasonable requirement in COMA for reasonable notice.
So I am out of town as of 1 o'clock tomorrow, and I will not be back till Friday. So you have to make a decision whether you need me there or not.
Does it have to be conducted? And I hate to speak for everybody, but does it have to be conducted during the business hours of 8 to 4:30?
Yes.
Or is it?
Yes.
It does.
Yes. It does.
Okay.
Adrian, the other thing would be where I am. If I know a specific time, I can excuse myself for a certain part of the time, but a reminder too that we have U.S. Department of Education first thing on Wednesday morning that we also are required to be at. So I will have to do that. Probably, I don't know, sometime between 8 and 10 on Wednesday morning.
And that's East Coast time, right? On that
Right.
one.
How much notice do they need? Can we do tomorrow afternoon?
I'm gonna say that's pushing it a little. That's barely the 24 hours notice. I understand the importance of it, but I also don't want to create a COMA violation.
Would during lunchtime I hate to ask everybody to leave their lunch, but on Wednesday work?
How
Or
much
is that
time are we
something-
talking about?
Amy, it would depend on, I'm sorry, Adrian, I'm going to jump in.
Go ahead, please.
I would expect if everything went through from, beginning to end, we didn't have a lot of questions, we could do it in 30 minutes. We do have 4 site visits on the schedule and 10 major curriculum changes. The major curriculum changes, there's nothing too out there. So I would say those are pretty straightforward, but the 4 site visits, 2 of the 4 are a little out of the normal cycle. So they might require some more question or discussion. So, but I would say even with that, we could probably do it in under an hour if everybody has their things read ahead of time.
And it might be emphasized that the previous education committee had reviewed most of these. And so anything that would have been really critical should have popped up.
The newly constituted education committee is entitled to consider everything before them, and they're
Correct.
not bound by prior decisions or recommendations of that prior committee.
Correct. I'm just giving them a historical background that this has been something that was looked at and
I understand,
so that
but they're not
that I
bound by
get
it.
Right. So would an hour cut it, Janelle?
I would say that we do that, and, all I can say is we can do our best. I think, I would have said without hesitation, with an experienced group, an hour is great, but we've got some people on here who have previous, so,
Okay.
I think we do our best to do it in an hour.
Well, and I do want to obviously give everybody their due diligence, but really do need to push this forward or not. So it's, would everybody be available midday? Potentially over
Yeah.
the lunch hour? Would you say 11:30? Does that work, or 11, or?
I will do my best. I'm getting on a ship in the morning and I don't know. But I'll call.
Okay.
Yep.
Could we do 11 a.m.? Well, I don't know what time that would be for you.
It would be evening. That'll be fine.
Okay.
Just put it on my calendar and put the documents with it and I'll be there.
Okay. And Janelle, is that something we could get together? Well, I know we can, never mind. We'll get it together. Okay. Well, thank you, committee, very, very much. And I'm sure our listening parties are breathing a bit of sigh of relief as well. I hope.
So Wednesday at 11?
Yes.
Okay. And
is that something you all will join as well, Lisa?
I think that's other folks than us, and we can talk about it offline. We need to make sure that we get the notice for the meeting posted on Public Square.
Yep.
And
Colton's
sent to
on here,
anybody.
so I know he'll get it going.
Okay. And
And
sent to anybody who
Jill
can
and
post
Colton.
notice.
We will do that. Okay, I think we're on to what would be the new edition, E, for the contract, is that correct?
I think we're still doing some delegations under D.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
No, you're fine.
Apologies.
We've got a lot of
It's
things to
learning
go
curve.
through. As we already talked about, the next motion will be for agency head under the Kansas Administrative Procedure Act. This would be designating the board president as such. Is there any questions about that, or do we want to read the motion and go through? I'll read the motion. I need a motion for, I move that the board designate the board president to serve as the agency head under the Kansas Administrative Procedure Act, KSA 77-501 at SEC.
I so move.
I
Katz.
second. Weber seconds.
Okay. Adrian, you're muted.
Apologies. Okay. We have a motion by Ms. Katz and a second by Ms. Weber. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Okay, the motion passes.
Okay, we have just a few more and then we'll be done with this portion. The next one will be delegating the authority to the board president as agency head for reviewing, deciding, and issuing orders regarding petitions for review, reconsideration, or motions for stay. This is just something that comes up every once in a while with the Kansas Administrative Procedures Act as far as things that are considered by the agency or needing to be considered by the agency. So The motion would be, I move that the board president, as the agency head under the Kansas Administrative Procedure Act, KSA 77-501 at SEC, be delegated the authority to review, decide, and issue any orders concerning petitions for review, petitions for reconsideration, and motions for stay filed with the board.
I so move. Katz.
Second, Garcia.
We have a motion by Ms. Katz and a second by Ms. Garcia. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And then any opposed, the same sign. And that motion passes.
Okay, so the next one will be, this is delegating authority to staff for issuing licenses, certificates, approving renewals if individuals meet the qualifications under the Nurse Practice Act and the Nurse Licensure Compact Act. This is just helping kind of streamline some processes, so not everything has to come back to the board for consideration. It lets staff have some ability to keep these things moving. So are there any questions on this one? If not, I can read the motion. Okay. A motion will need to be, I move that the board delegate its authority to the board's staff to issue licenses, certificates, and approve renewals for individuals meeting the qualifications and requirements of the Kansas Nurse Practice Act and the Nurse Licensure Compact Act.
I so move.
Second, Garcia. Yep.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor, and I did not hear it. Kind of jumbled on me who did the motion. I'm sorry.
That was me, Ruth.
Okay, Ruth. Okay. Ruth, and then second by Garcia. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. And the motion passes.
Okay, last one.
Sorry.
I can see your excitement. So this will be delegating authority to Mr. Guerrero for applicant requests for accommodations for exams or NCLEX. So the motion will need to be, I move that the board delegate its authority to the board's director of operations to review and approve or deny an applicant's request to receive accommodations while taking the board-approved nurse licensure exam and or the NCLEX exam.
I so move. Katz.
Second, Garcia.
So we have a motion by Ms. Katz and a second by Ms. Garcia. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And then any opposed, same sign. Okay, that motion passes.
Okay.
That was the last one, right?
That was. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Thank you for working through all those. It's a lot of good work. With that, we'll move on to the next section about scheduling the next meeting. Now,
do we need to do?
traditionally-
Adrian, I'm sorry, go ahead, Nicole.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
Monday. Yeah, we need to move on to the next section, which is it'd be letter E for the contract for the AG's office, and legal counsel. And I guess I'll let you guys cue that up, how that's going to be worded. And you should have a copy of that in your email as well.
So, depending on how the board wants to do this, and I'll let Lisa chime in as well. But as far as the motion goes, the board can delegate its authority to Adrian to sign the contract. And then Lisa can walk through kind of the contract itself.
So this provides for the payment of an annual fee of $30,000 for general counsel services. If you'll notice, it provides an assistant attorney general. You're actually getting two. We're not charging you the extra, in part because we like to double up and make sure that people get experience in how to handle boards and commissions and so forth. So you're doing that. We don't bill you by the hour. We bill you as this lump sum. It did go up $5,000 from last year. It was previously $25,000. I'm going to be honest. We have expended a large number of resources on representing the agency so far. And we have decided that we're just going to wait and see how that shakes out over time because things may settle after you work through your issues with 25, 30, whatever it is. We did raise it $5,000, and that is based on our experience in responding to Cora requests, because those have been very substantial, and we think that was a fair effort on our part to at least have this. We're not recouping. It's not a one-to-one. Anything that we get from your payment, we lose in state general funds. This is just, we're permitted by law to charge the amount. It's due in two payments of $15,000 each, one by September 11th and the other by January 15th. And you already have your own internal disciplinary counsel, and so that is not subject or provided in the context of this contract. This is only about general counsel services. You can either approve it on your own by voting to approve the contract as is submitted to you, or you can delegate that to the approval and action, the signature to Adrian to handle on your behalf. It's entirely up to you. If you can also approve the contract and delegate to Adrian the ability to sign the contract and return it to our agency.
And just for the members' knowledge, this has been an agreement that's been in place for as long as I can remember. I've been here for 26 years, and I believe it's been in place for that long, if not longer. So,
This is Garcia. I move that we approve the contract as written and delegate signature to Adrian Guerrero.
I second that, Burkhart.
do you need to read a motion, or is that sufficient? Okay.
That is
So there
sufficient.
is, okay, then we do need to vote on it though, right? They, I should say. Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Garcia and a second by Dr. Burkhart. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The same sign? I'm sorry. No discussion? Okay, so motion passes. Thank you. Now I think we're ready for the scheduled meeting, right? Thank you all for hanging in there with us here. So traditionally, as you heard, we would have our September meeting would probably have been the next meeting. However, there's so much going on right now that we do believe that we may need to reconvene the board sooner. And so I don't know if there's any recommendations from the new president or legal counsel staff. I guess I would open the floor to the board. How soon should we probably reconvene the full body here?
I'm going to
Well,
say,
realizing
honestly, if you're asking, I'm going to say within the month.
Uh-huh. because of the concern with that September 1st deadline, we really need to know how we're progressing with that. And we need to hear from you, Adrian, regarding the progress that's being made with getting additional resources and how that's working out.
I'd be happy to do that. If I could ask, NCSBN has their annual meeting the week of the 17th, at which I am the commissioner for the Nurse Licensure Compact. And we will have a member of the board there as a delegate. So I would ask that we either, if possible, we could meet the week before. If you push it, you're going to get close to the end of the month. So that would be somewhere in the week of the 10th of August, which would be basically 2.5 weeks potentially. Excuse me.
Adrian, would that be in person in Topeka, or would that be via Zoom, or both, or?
I will leave that open to the board. I would like everybody to be here in September, if at all possible, in person, which those meetings, for those that don't know, is the week of September 14th through the 16th of September. I would really prefer to have, we really need to have your attendance at that meeting because there's a lot of things that go on. However, in lieu of that, from a funding perspective, we are a fee-funded agency, so we have plenty of funds right now. That's fine, but just keeping that somewhat in mind.
I would say, Adrian, this is Jobin again. The week of the 10th, I'm available both via in person in Topeka or via Zoom.
Okay.
This is Amy.
But our
I'm
general
available
counsel. Okay.
the 12th or after.
Well, the 13th is wide open for me. I don't know about all the staff, but I'm guessing it would be a day, you know, maybe a same length of time potentially.
Are you talking about an afternoon meeting on the 13th?
We certainly could, or morning, whichever.
I just could not do the morning of Thursday or Friday. But I could do the afternoons either way.
So hearing
Adrian,
that
since
Thursday,
I was just going
I'm
to say
sorry?
I could do the 13th or the 14th because I assume I'm going to be giving an update on the voiding project.
You're starting to narrow it in. What's your wish, Madam President? We'll give you your.
Regarding, can you state that
next
very
meeting?
clearly?
The next meeting, the 13th of August afternoon, we could say start at, what do you think, 1 or 12:30, 1, whatever?
I'm all for that. I just think to give it enough time to have the void committee meet and the education committee, these are the two priorities. And then to evaluate progress, that gives less than a month, but it's close to a month. So that would be about, we wouldn't want to go any longer than that because it's September 1st is coming up really quickly after that. So that's fine with me. I think that's a good compromise.
So we do it virtual, or if, you know, we obviously have a room, we could probably we do have to share a meeting room in this building. So that's another accommodation we have to kind of consider, but we do have it for the week of the September 14th. We do have the shared space that we use. So maybe we can do this next one via Zoom and Teams again, if that works for everybody.
I would
Our
recommend
general
that.
counsels, are you available those dates? Joseph
Well,
and Lisa?
it'll just be me. Well, I'm available though.
Okay. Is that okay? Just for one?
It'll just be me.
Okay.
We'll make it work. We'll make it work.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the flexibility there. And okay. So that sounds like we've landed on that. We'll start getting information ready and try to have the requested information for the board and then an update on, I heard Dr. Burkhart, you said you wanted an update on staffing. Is that what you said? Just to make sure I have it listed exactly.
That would be helpful, but how things are
Okay.
progressing, how things are
Okay.
progressing with additional resources to help us meet that September 1st. I'm very concerned about that and any other issues discussed. That would require us to have a staffing update, yes.
Okay, we will do that.
I'd also like an update on Cora requests, compliance.
Absolutely.
And would that be another executive session, Nicole, or I guess it'd be Lisa? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
well, we'll have to see if you're just
Okay.
handing over metrics, but that's not. If you're wanting something else, then that might be. We'll just have to talk about that at the time.
Metrics
Okay.
is fine.
Yeah,
Okay,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
what we need.
and I'll fill you in, Andy, what we need to gather.
We can also decide that on the fly. I can have the necessary motions ready. If you decide you want legal advice, that's not a problem.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any other requests to the board before we adjourn?
I just
I
want to
would
say
like to-
thank you. If I may, Madam Chair, I would just like to say thank you and just let you know there was a lot of work by staff and general counsel that went into preparing this, and you all hung in there like troopers, and we so much appreciate that. And if you have any questions, you can reach out through Adrian, and we can make separate arrangements to talk to the chair and the vice chair if necessary, to help guide them through what to expect over the next several months. So we can consider that offline, however you might want to do that.
Right, and I was just going to say thank you as well. Thank you, Lisa, and also to Adrian, who I believe has built a really good bridge in this transition, and to the agency head, Samantha Harrington. Thank you. I'm so glad you are still with the agency, and then of course to the new board members for being willing to serve during this transition time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr.
Well, I echo
Bickler.
those comments. Thank you all very much. We have a great team behind us. This is not a single effort by any means. We've got a really good team here at the Board of Nursing, and they've been through a lot, but they're making it through the other side. We've had some help from external parties. Some of our elected officials have reached out and offered to assist us. So our associations, organizations, it's really been a good thing to see everybody come together. And I do think in the end, we're going to have a stronger nursing board for Kansas. And we thank you very, very much for your assistance as we work through this progress. Linda, I believe you have your hand.
I just want to say, welcome. And for those who are now on the investigative committee, I will be reaching out to you to get you trained up so that on September 14th, it's a full in-person, all-day review of cases. And so I will get with you individually and kind of get you a tutorial as far as kind of what you look for, things of that nature. So be looking for that. I'm not sure if they have, does everybody have laptops already, Adrian? And do they have kansas.gov emails? Okay, I'll get with Adrian and figure out all of those things. But is it Jobin and Ashley and Belinda? I remember Belinda. And Belinda, I'll get with you as far as like what chair duties are, because there are weekly chair duties. So welcome to investigative. Yay!
Yeah, thank you, Linda, for that clarification. And just from a logistical standpoint, we'll give to you a parking meter. Jill's real great about getting spaces reserved. She will probably have some information that she's going to be sending out to you in terms of some things that she needs to do. Jill is our executive assistant, but also knower of all things needed for board meetings. So we rely on a lot of people that maybe you don't see on the screen all the time, but you're going to get to know us very well. We'll also give you food when you're here. We'll feed you. So if you're here all day, we'll get you a lunch. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. And I guess I would open it to the floor if there's any more questions or comments before we adjourn. Okay, seeing none, do we need to motion to adjourn or do they just adjourn? Okay. Well, thank you again, everybody who was on vacation and joined us virtually from wherever you're at. Thank you so much for doing that, and welcome to the Board of Nursing, everyone.